Hi, this is Beverly Randolph, and you're listening to Without Your Head Horror Radio.
All right, we are back, and we're joined by Allan Trautman. I want to welcome you to Without Your Head.
Thanks a lot. Glad to be here.
Cool. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's been a crazy year, and I'm hoping the next one's going to be better.
All right. Oh, we're going to talk about, of course, your role in Return of the Living Dead.
All right.
Yeah. Did you think, 20 years later, however long it's been, that you'd still be talking about it?
Oh gosh, no! I when we were making it, I didn't even know if anybody was going to go see it. It was such an unusual film, and I wasn't on the set an awful lot, so it was tough for me to get an idea of what the tone of the film was up until the point I came on. It wasn't immediately apparent from the script that it was going to be as funny as it was. So, fortunately, for my character, though, it didn't really make that much difference. I pretty much knew what I was doing, and I didn't need to be funny
right.
As the Tarman. So, so the short answer is no. I had no idea that this was going to have a life beyond 1985.
Yeah. Now, in your mind, though, when you're playing the Tarman, were you going for comedy or going for horror, or did you just?
No, you know what? I was just playing the character. I was just more concerned with hitting the beats and making sure I was able to just hit my mark and stand in the right place, because it was tough to see and move inside the under all of that costume and headgear and everything, the prosthetics. But basically, it was I had my action to do. I knew what it was, and I had developed the walk for it, and so I wasn't thinking. I knew it was a scary-looking thing, and I knew that the suit would do a lot of the work for me. So I knew I didn't have to add a lot other than the walk. One thing that Dan O'Bannon, the director, wanted specifically was that he wanted to see Tarman thinking. He didn't want him to just be a stupid, zombie who runs into walls.
Yeah.
And so that was what was going through my mind, figuring out the little scene with the winch and all of that. He wanted to see how his brain was working, or what was left of it, I suppose.
Right.
And that's what I was concerned about, because I realized at that point that, a zombie that can think is a lot scarier than one that can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I trusted that that was the right way to go. And I think he was right on that one.
How long did it take to put the makeup on?
It didn't take a tremendous amount of time. They would black out my mouth and my eyes, which were somewhat visible through the makeup, or maybe it was just my mouth. And then everything else came on in big pieces. It was like a two-piece, pants and a top, which already had all of the prosthetics attached to it. So, it just took a couple of minutes to slip into that. They would put the head on, which, didn't really take any time. The thing that took the time at that point was joining the head to the shoulders, because they wanted to make it look like it's all one piece, obviously. Yeah. And they didn't want any, collar break or anything like that. So after I had the head on, then they would glue on specific bits of prosthetics to cover the seam. And that took probably 15 minutes, maybe a half hour. So it really each day getting ready for the shoot wasn't an awful lot of time. What I did spend a lot of time doing was just sort of sitting around with the head on, which wasn't that much fun, but that sort of goes with the territory. And then before each take, they would throw on all of the goop, all of the this clear liquidy gel-like stuff that just makes me look all slimy,
Right.
just to make it look wet.
It looks like you really almost slipped and fell in one of the scenes in the movie. Was it really hard to walk with all that stuff on?
Yeah. You're probably thinking of when he pulls the curtain aside and I grab his head.
When you're about to bite his brains. Yeah.
You could actually see my feet slipping on the ground.
Yeah,
it was tough because, I mean, like I say, I was all drippy, and that stuff really is like like a lubricant, you know. And so it was a little tough to keep my balance. But that was really the only time I almost lost my balance, and that, involved sort of heavy lifting because I was dealing with the other performer, and our weights shifted, and it's not something we really rehearsed in detail. Dan sort of wanted to not only move the schedule along, I'm sure, but also just to keep it fresh and keep it looking like it's a surprise. And so I don't remember, doing a full-scale rehearsal on that, full speed, until the cameras were rolling. And if I remember correctly, I don't even think we did that many takes on any of this. So it's all very, it's a little messy around the edges, which is kind of nice.
Right.
It's a nice effect because it looks, it looks like they're really struggling.
And it was on the commentary they mentioned that Dan offered extra money for any of the zombies who wanted to eat actual brains. Were you offered any money to eat real brains?
No, I didn't have to do that because I wasn't in any of those scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't play any of the other the zombies there that were actually eating things because my
just biting his head.
Yeah, because I didn't have prosthetics directly on my face. They created a whole sort of a helmet mask thing, like a Darth Vader thing that goes over my whole head. And so you can't really see me eating because the mouth doesn't work like that. It sort of opens and closes as I open and close my jaw, but that's about it. It doesn't, I can't really chew or anything like that.
Was it your real tongue that pokes out?
Yeah, that's me. That's just something I discovered after I put the head on and I was just fooling around with it in front of the mirror. I go, oh, that's pretty creepy. And Dan saw it. He goes, yeah, do that.
John, you got a question?
If you look really closely, you may have to pause it or look at a still frame. If you look really closely, you can see my mouth in there. It's all blacked out. All my teeth are blacked out and my lips are blacked out. But if you look really, really carefully, you can see them in there when the mouth opens up.
Yeah. Did you get to keep any of the costume or the mask?
No, I was so happy to get out of that thing on the last day of shooting that I was like, oh man, see you later. I'm going home to take a shower. In fact, if I remember correctly, the last day of shooting I was on, the suit was still in use because it was the scene where they knocked my head off, and so what they did was they cut at that point, and they had another actor who was as tall as my shoulders get into the suit, the same suit, and continue the scene with a fake head on top. And I just felt terrible for him because that suit was by that point wet and smelly and just pretty gross. So I said, "Oh my God, have fun with that. I'm out of here." The guilt was getting to me.
TRG from our message board, he wants to know, did you scare anybody while you were in the suit?
Well, I think I scared Beverly pretty good because I think, Dan really wanted to surprise her. I mean, obviously she knows in the script I'm going to be popping out, but I believe that he tried to keep her from seeing me, at least in the basement there, up until the time the cameras were rolling. They wanted a real reaction from her. So obviously she wasn't, she didn't think there was a zombie on the set. But I think that might have helped there. Other than that, no, I didn't really scare anybody. They would have had to have let me out on the street to do that, which, would have been fun for Halloween.
Right. She actually mentioned on the documentary part on the DVD that, and she also said that he didn't tell her about the step that was going to break away.
Yeah, I heard about that too. That they actually they had a stunt person there, but they actually had her run up the stairs and break through. So I don't know what to say about that.
Well, what did you think of Dan O'Bannon? Well, working for him.
I thought he knew exactly what he wanted, and he had a very clear idea of what he was going for. And obviously, I knew what his credits were up to then, and so I went with whatever he said because I trusted him. I figured this guy knows what's going to be scary and what's going to work. I appreciated the fact that he was treating the Tarman like a character and treating me like an actor instead of just a guy in a suit, because he knew that, like I said before, a zombie that can think is a lot scarier. And so the more you see him working things out and learning and acting on that, the scarier it becomes, because you figure, well, he's going to be tougher to beat. And so, I enjoyed the experience as much as anybody could in a suit like that.
Right.
There was a lot of sitting around. The schedule was a little loose. They never quite knew when I was going to be needed, unfortunately, so I spent a lot of time sitting around with a head on.
Yeah.
That, I felt I probably could have. They probably could have worked that out a little bit better, but other than that, I think it's great.
Because I know they said on there that they shot it in order, like all scenes in order, and I was wondering, like, since you have two scenes in the movie, pretty much, so you had to be there the whole time in between those two scenes, and just didn't film them at the same time.
They did sort of film them at the same time. I may have had a little time off in between, but they definitely shot those two scenes in order. I hadn't heard about the rest of the movie. I'm not quite sure how. Generally they'll shoot all the scenes in one location, getting together, but they would. But maybe indeed they did do them in order. I know they shot my first scene in the basement first. I remember that distinctly. My first day on the set was coming out of the shadows there. And I remember very distinctly coming out of the basement when they opened the door and they knocked my head off. That, I recall, was my last shot. So there was probably some time off in between, because there was they obviously were changing sets. They were in the basement set the first time, and then the regular set the other time. Yeah. So I don't recall how much time was in between. Actually, it's been a long time now. Yeah. But I can tell you that my scenes were shot in order anyway.
Yeah. What did you think about the sequels? Have you seen all the sequels?
Well, I was in the first sequel, right. Part 2. It was sort of they never quite explained why Tarman was back after getting his head knocked off. Or this is a different one or whatever.
And getting blown up by a nuclear missile.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's just some other Tarman. There's a whole family of them, Mr. and Mrs. Tarman somewhere. Right. They're just churning out Tarman babies or something. I don't know. That actually I only worked one day. Because it was just that one scene where I came out of the drainage ditch and they pushed me into the water. That was the end of that. Yeah. And you know what? I don't think I saw the other sequels after that. I saw the ones I did, and then after that I said, okay, I think I've seen enough of these. pretty much see where this is going.
Well, was the costume a lot different in the second one? Like the way it was made?
That's a good question. It was built by, I think the new one was built by Kenny, was it Kenny Baker? I'm trying to remember, who came in halfway through the first one and rebuilt the head and added some cable mechanisms and things like that. I remember it being a bit of a smoother build on that one. So yes, it was a different suit. It was a new, completely new head and everything. I did I think, yeah. If I recall now, I did a new face cast and everything, new head cast. They did one of those total head cast things on me, which is, I don't recommend that for anybody.
Right.
Especially if you're claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. They stick 2 straws in your nose and stick your head in a vat of plaster, essentially. Yeah. Not my idea of a fun Sunday afternoon, but that's okay. It's work, right. And I enjoy doing it ultimately. But no, the short answer is I didn't see the other sequels.
John, you got another question?
Yeah, I also noticed that you do a lot of puppeteering work. I was wondering, how much practice do you put into making a puppet come to life?
Oh, wow. Gosh, I've been doing puppets for, 35 years now. So we practice all the time whenever we can. Right now I'm doing a live show called Puppet Up Uncensored, which is a puppet improv show that the Jim Henson Company is producing. And we've been performing monthly here in Hollywood. And so we rehearse every week. Because you just have to keep doing it to keep your skills up, Mm-hmm. They're working on plans now. We're hoping, and I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here, but there are plans afoot now to move Puppet Up Uncensored to New York, to some off-Broadway theater there, maybe for the spring. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that one.
Did you ever get to work with Jim Henson himself?
Yes, I was very lucky. I worked with him for just a few months right before he died. This was in the beginning of 1990. It was actually the very first job I did for the Jim Henson Company, which was Muppet Vision 3D. That was the 3D movie that's playing in the Disney theme parks. Mm-hmm. And they came to Los Angeles, which they had the Muppet production team hadn't done much production in Los Angeles, but they were doing this whole thing with Disney at that point, and so they were filming a lot at Disneyland, and so they were using the Disney studios too. And they hired a bunch of local puppeteers for the first time, and I was among them, and so I got to work with him directly, and it was really a great experience. It was really very special.
As a puppeteer, is your job to control the puppets, or do you do any designing of the puppets?
I've never actually built puppets. A lot of puppeteers start out as builders and creating their own characters from scratch, and I think that's great. It's just not something that interested me at an early age. I started out as a performer, as an actor, and so I sort of fell into puppeteering when I was in college. And found that it was just another way to perform. And I found I was pretty good at it. And so I've never, I could have designed more if I wanted to and built more, but so many other people did that so well. And I was just interested in performing. And, for quite a while there, I was working quite a bit as a performer, so it just never seemed necessary to get too involved in the actual construction.
Yeah. Let's real quick, because a lot of people are asking here in the chat room if you had any stories about working on dinosaurs.
Wow, Dinosaurs! That was a fantastic production. We all knew when we were working on that show that this was going to be one of those peak lifetime creative achievements. That it was, jobs just don't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Now, the suit performers inside the suits might have a slightly different story because they worked really, really hard. We had the cushy jobs because we were, the puppeteers, I mean, because we got to just sit in nice, comfy stage chairs and manipulate animatronics all day. It was a tremendous amount of fun, and let me see if there's any particular stories I can think of. Boy, there is an outtake reel. They didn't used to do outtakes back then, but one of our assistant directors put together this reel of outtakes because, the way we perform the show, it's done live on the set, and all the puppeteers do all the voices for the characters, and then some of the characters afterwards, most of them really, have their voices done over by voice artists. A lot of times we'll do some of those characters too, but the main characters mostly had other voice people coming in. But on the set, we would be able to improvise and do all sorts of stuff, and and there were some crazy times on set that we had that were caught on film. And years later, I discovered in my trunk the videotape that this AD had made for us. Dirk was his name. He's still out there working, and boy, that was fun to watch. It's pretty crazy stuff on there.
It didn't make it to the DVD.
It did not make it to the DVD. A lot of it's not exactly PG. So, that's one of the great things about when we're doing puppets. As soon as the cameras stop rolling, then we can start saying and doing all the things we were thinking during the shoot.
Right.
That we can't actually use on film. But we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We have it was a tremendous amount of fun, and it was a fantastic group of people assembled for that job. Mm-hmm. Well, and it was great.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight. And you also got a new movie coming out that you worked on, was The Macabre World of Lavender Williams. And anybody check out the trailer online? Looks really cool.
Oh yeah, I hadn't noticed there was a trailer online for that.
Yeah.
I have to go look that up.
Yeah,
I just noticed it on my IMDb page the other day. It just popped up. Oh, look.
I'll admit, that's how I saw it, too.
Yeah. All righty. Well, it was a pleasure dropping by.
Yeah, it's good talking to you.
This is Brian Peck, Scuzz from Return of the Living Dead, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.